This is the signature character here from PlayStation Allstars.
Yep.
Long and storied history. What made you want to put him in Twisted Metal?
Made a lot of sense. He'd play up his personality a lot more.
What would you say from a beginner strategy? What's a good place to start with Sweet Tooth?
Straightforward character. Single individual moves, controlling space, landmines, shotguns, landmines, shotguns, landmines, shotguns. The Molotov is really more of a bread and butter type attack that you're going to be throwing out and hoping to generate gobs and gobs of AP.
Another one that grabbed me was the Molotov cocktail. It takes a little bit of a commitment from the player, but you can hit multiple enemies and you can
generate gobs and gobs of AP.
Let's talk supers. Sweet Tooth's level 1 super is killer. That's the guided nuke. It's right out of the nuke mode in the nuke. Guided nuke.
The guided nuke, well, he actually even pulls out a little guided nuke.
Level 2 super with Sweet Tooth is killer. That's the guided nuke. Bit of a niche move based on what I've seen.
It's clearly suited towards attacking one person.
I mean, the level 3 speaks for itself. I mean, let's guided nuke. He's back, and it's a little bit of a nod to how guided nukes level 3 works, but it's different.
If you're in front of Sweet Tooth and he pops guided nuke, good luck to you.
So sum it all up to close the book here on guided nuke. What kind of player is going to gravitate toward guided nuke?
So maybe if you're just starting out and want a character that you can generate gobs and gobs of AP very, very quickly and have some really success with, I think he'd be a great choice.
Let's start talking about one of my favorite characters so far, Radek. Not so great at a distance, but at close range, dominator.
A very unique playstyle.
That sniper rifle, that sniper rifle, that sniper rifle.
His sniper rifle.
But there's a couple tricks to using it. For instance, I noticed you can get it going in midair and it's bam.
Going, and one of the tricks that you'll see a lot of the more advanced Radek players utilize is that you can...
Another move I found myself using again and again, sniper rifle.
It doesn't generate a ton of AP, it doesn't have a ton of distance, it's pretty good at mid-range.
Now up close though, he has a couple strong moves, particularly that hand shotgun he uses. Yeah. He's got a pair of moves that complement each other perfectly, and they involve that sniper rifle, hand shotgun, grenades.
It doesn't generate a ton of AP, pretty good at mid-range. We actually did something really interesting with his grenades. So the more long-distance grenade, I know a lot of sort of skillful first-person shooter players like to bounce it off the ground to give it a bit of additional range.
PlayStation All-Stars, it's all about guided nuke. Radek's got some of the best I've seen yet.
So you get this target reticle that appears on screen, it'll lock on. Anywhere where that character moves.
But let's talk about that level 2. Yeah. Very visually spectacular. It's the arc cannon, if I'm not mistaken, from Killzone.
The best place to use that, or the best situation to use that in, you want to make sure the opponent have an easy vertical escape. The best situation to use that in,
There's some really devastating level 3s in this game. Arc cannon is up there with the best of them.
Chaotic moment.
What kind of player is going to gravitate to him?
That guy who loves playing first-person shooters immediately goes for the sniper rifle and sits on the hill and just rains chaos down on everyone else. Loves playing first-person shooters, immediately goes for the sniper rifle, sits on the hill.
Let's talk about Parappa. That's a name I heard in some time. At a broad strategic level, what's the best way to use Parappa?
Punches and kicks. It's all in the mind.
Kick, punch, it's all in the mind.
Delivers a lot of really cool and interesting devastating combos.
Where you can jump and push down and circle. And just and just bash guys, batter them on the ground from a... Another move that's great for mobility and for hitting enemies is Boombox. In PlayStation All-Stars, it's all about Boombox. It's a go-to super.
You limit their escape routes. Really hard to get out of.
And his level 3 is interesting too. It's basically a screen clearing move. And what would you say for a beginner?
Players who like pushing buttons, players who like believing in themselves. Parappa the Rapper, perhaps more than maybe any other character.
Let's think a go-to character for a lot of people.
Kratos from
PlayStation All-Stars.
This is a very strong, offensive, strong style. Because those blades of chaos can travel so far, further than the average guy who's just dealing with punches and kicks.
Really good at harassing people.
Yeah, once Kratos gets to that mid-range,
You lack skill.
It has some interesting properties to it, because not only can it be used to getting close to an opponent, but it can also be used to just to generate gobs and gobs of AP.
Luckily for him, he's got some great aerial attacks, and one of my favorite is the Barbarian Hammer. He's got some great aerial attacks. Another thing, he's got great aerial attacks. That's not something you see in that much in PlayStation All-Stars. As we know, all the characters have a double jump. He's essentially got a double jump. Let's talk about Kratos' supers, because he's got some of the best I've seen yet. His level 2 super is much more vertically oriented. One of the few I've seen in PlayStation All-Stars that has this vertical area of effect. But that level 3,
Really hard to get away. You can maybe get away on the first attack. You're not going to get away from that first attack. And the sort of limit on how many kills Kratos can get is really based on first attack. Players are going to gravitate towards Kratos, are going to be the ones who like a
great aerial attacks.
I think Kratos is going to be the character for you. I think Kratos is going to be the character for you.
Which brings us to Cooper. Radically, look at how radically different in some ways. Doesn't have a block button, doesn't do a block button, doesn't have a block button. Tell me about where this character design came from.
Sneaks in the shadows, very stealthy, tricks.
What's the first thing I should be looking to do with Sly Cooper?
Take some risks. By far and away, his most important offensive tool, it is
the dynamite bucket. He can't block, but when you need to, that's a great go-to.
Another really important move for Sly Cooper is tricks.
But what you can do is you can build up to those supers, and that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. So tell me about that level 1.
This is a really devastating attack
which is, I think, a fantastic super. Then that level 2 comes out, and all bets are off. He's coming for you now. So in a nutshell, Sly Cooper,
a character that you can be clever and tricky and frustrate your opponents with.
All right, let's talk about Fat Princess on PlayStation All-Stars. What was the inspiration of putting her in Fat Princess a game? Tell me about what's a go-to move for you with Fat Princess.
I think a lot of players will use the air down triangle, which is sort of the butt bounce, where she sort of comes crashing down and does this really big air effect on characters, and also up triangle, which is kind of this rising pirouette, which sort of spins in the air and catches everyone around.
Pretty good at mid-range.
Tell me what kind of player would gravitate towards and this is a really thin attack guided nuke.